What's in your diary? What's in your diary?
What's in your diary?
What's in yours? Hey, diary dolls, it's your girl Ty, and I just want to welcome you to the It's Not Your Diary podcast. Hey, it's Ty, and I'm back with episode 2. So I hope you all enjoyed episode 1. I know it was a bit much. I kind of dropped a lot on you all at once. You all definitely have to let me know what you thought about the episode. Follow me. Definitely got to follow me on IG and Twitter at It's Not Your Diary Pod. Super simple. I tried to keep it simple for everybody. Yeah, so let me know your thoughts. Let me know new topics. Let me know any constructive criticism, feedback, everything. I need it. I'm going to take it into consideration and make those adjustments. So I hope everybody had a good week. I hope everybody's journaling went great. Everybody's diaries looking good. Filling up. So for today's topic, I wanted to cover something that I thought was super important. It's just really one thing that I realize it just keeps coming up when I'm praying and when I'm listening to my scriptures and I'm studying. It's just one thing that just keeps coming up, and that's forgiveness and to forgive. So our topic for this week is forgive. So of course I got to give y'all a Google definition. So Dr. Google says forgiveness, or to forgive, which is a verb, means stop feeling angry or resentful towards someone for an offense, flaw, or mistake. So last week's was super off. I just felt like the definition didn't really match up. But this week, honestly, I feel like you can't get that one wrong. It's the same across the board. And this word, I actually had to think about it over and over again. Like, what does forgiveness mean to me? What does forgiveness mean to me? Because you all, I always try to give the Dr. Google definition, my definition, and give you what the Bible says. And then we bring it all together. So, honestly, when I was thinking about it over and over again, I'm like, well, forgiveness, like I can't really put a real definition on it. So what I came up with was forgiveness is self-care. And I'm going to get back to why I said that, but that was my definition. That's what I thought about it. I thought long and hard about what does that mean to me? And that's what I came up with. And of course, saving the best for last. So for this one, I thought I would keep it to a scripture that a lot of people know, a lot of people quote when you think about forgiveness, and that's Matthew 18:21-22, which says, Then Peter came up and said to him, Lord, how often will my brother sin against me and I forgive him? As many times as 7 times? Jesus said to him, I do not say to you 7 times, but 77 times. But then when you look back at the definition, the Dr. Google definition says to stop feeling angry or resentful towards someone for an offense. So, yes, it's the same type of concept, but think about it. Like, God's saying he doesn't, like you're not going to forgive him 7 times, but 77 times. Like, an endless amount. And that in itself is so hard. Like, it's way easier said than done. And taking back that control is what we have to do. We have to forgive. If it takes 77 times, that's just what you have to do. Be not for that person, not for them by any means, but for yourself. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about how we feel when someone does something to us, or when we do something to ourselves, or when we do something to someone else. Our first response, our natural response. Like, we were created to have a petty response, to get even, to make sure they feel how you feel. Your instincts are to basically retaliate. That's how we were created. That is our nature. So saying when someone hurts you, we've learned our whole lives that if you do something to somebody, you apologize, and then you forgive that person because they didn't apologize. Well, we live in a world now where someone might do something to you, somebody might hurt you, and they won't apologize. So it's like, how can we find that happy medium and actually forgive instead of, waiting for an apology? Like, when I see so many people break up nowadays, and it's like, well, I need closure. I don't have closure. I'm trying to get closure. Like, you're not going to get closure. You might not get an apology. That person might not think they did anything to you, but here you are harboring all these feelings about it, and here you are in your feelings when, let's look at the facts. This person don't want to be with you no more. Okay, it might be hard to accept. I've been through a lot of situations recently. I had my son, and I planned for the perfect birth. When I tell you, this was like my passion. I read up on meditating and hypnobirthing, and just going into this place of solace, and with my partner, and us like doing this together. Like, this is something that we created together. We're gonna do this together. We're gonna do everything together, and everything is gonna be perfect, and it's gonna be beautiful. And I was so attached to this idea. And now this is a very unique form of forgiveness, but this is a very tough form of forgiveness. When you plan something to the T, because when you're a control freak, when something isn't planned, it worries you. And I didn't want to be worried, so I planned it out. I studied. I listened to the pregnancy podcast. I listened to all 40 weeks. I listened to literally every hypnobirthing podcast, every form of meditation. I read all the books. I did all the studying. And then when it came down to it, being in labor for 3 days, from Tuesday to Thursday, and then still practicing everything that I learned, but everything going completely different, and it being completely out of my control, and things really going from great to worse in a matter of hours. With that, he ended up in the NICU for 2 months, and it was traumatizing. It was hard, and the breastfeeding was tough, and it ended up just being something that was so traumatic that I feel like I ended up having undiagnosed PTSD from, because it was literally all I could think about, and the trauma of seeing him cry. He had to get shots every day, and all these tests, and he was wrapped up to all these cords, and all he wanted to do was cuddle and be with us, and all we wanted to do was take him home. It became something that I just thought I would never go through, because I planned it out. I had it all thought out, but I was heartbroken, and I had to then forgive the doctors that delivered him, the nurses in the hospital who were rude to us, the doctors who lied to us, the staff members who lied. There was a lot that happened, and then I had to accept that these people weren't trying to hurt you. They were trying to protect you and protect your family, and they were really just doing what they were taught, and it wasn't personal, and it had nothing to do with me. This is literally what these people are taught. So for me to come challenge them with breastfeeding tips and all these things just made it very hard for me to live day to day because I just felt all this anger and I was so upset and I was so resentful. And I would think about it literally every day. I would dream about being in the hospital, even when we came home for months. And that was all I could think about. And it really consumed me. And I just had to get to a point where I'm like, okay, I can't hold on to this anymore. This has gone way too far. I was at the point where I didn't even want to walk past, like drive past the hospital. But what's so crazy is we drove by like a week ago and it was liberating to actually be able to drive past not only the hospital where my grandma passed away in, that was actually being torn down, which was a very hard experience. It was just very traumatic for me as well. In the same day, we drove past both these places in the same day. And I was just, I had so much peace come across my heart. And I was like, all I could do was just be grateful because I have forgiven the people and the institutions who I felt like this was their fault. And I felt like they needed to apologize or they needed to take the blame or I was owed something. And, you know, maybe it was malpractice, maybe not. But all I needed was that peace of mind to really move forward. But then when you think about everything, it's like it was so hard. Like that's so hard when you know your child isn't breathing and it's someone's fault. Like who can I blame for this? It's like you just want to know who you can blame, who you can get back, who owes you something when all I needed to do is dig deep. Dig really, really deep, grab a hold of my faith because that was also a moment where I was questioning my faith. I didn't understand what was going on, but now like I've come full circle and I've forgiven and I'm moving on and I feel better and I'm taking care of who I am no matter what it takes. One of my favorite YouTube pastors, Pastor T. Jakes, has a quote that says, as long as you're chained to your history, you're not free to possess your destiny, which is like amazing. Like when you really think about what this quote means, it's like you're chained. You are really chained to your history because you let the things that have happened to you define who you are when it's supposed to be the other way around. You are supposed to define what you've been through. You don't let it define you. You tell it where it's going to stand in your life. You don't let something tell you where you're going to stand in this life. Forgiveness is a true gift that you have to be willing to give yourself. It's a true gift. And I know a lot of people know about the love languages, but when you really study the love languages and you think about what you need, just think about it. Forgiveness is a gift that you can give to yourself. You can wrap it up. You can make it beautiful. You can make it whatever you need it to be. You can make it as simple as it can be or as complicated as you need it to be. But forgiveness is a gift. And who doesn't want to give themselves that peace of mind? Because think about it. Once you have all this built up anger, this animosity to anyone else or even to yourself, even if it's something that you have done to someone else and you have to forgive yourself for, like, even if you don't have the opportunity to apologize to them, if they pass away, you know, if they can't understand you anymore, it doesn't matter. If they're not here, you can still forgive yourself and be set free. Like that's okay. you're not a hostage. These are not burdens that you have to bear. But you also have to understand that this gift is going to take a lot of work. And there are some gifts that people might buy for you, and you're just like, wow, like, how did you get this for me? How did you afford this? And this is the type of gift that you're giving to yourself. Like, this is something that's priceless. Like, you could never put a price tag on the forgiveness that you could give to yourself for forgiving someone else. You have to forgive people. You have to. It's not really an option. You can't move forward. You hurt it. Like, you're chained. That's what this is. It's chains. You're tied down. To forgive is to be willing to accept the pain and suffering and the wounds that someone else have inflicted on you. So it's not about the other person. It's really, really not. When we hold on to these things, we end up not being able to sleep at night. We end up seriously depressed or with major anxiety. We end up using drugs. Substance abuse is real. We end up needing more medication because we can't even cope in our day-to-day lives because someone hurt us at some point in our lives so badly that we decided to become numb to certain things, or we decide to take out our frustrations on our families and our children. And that's just not unfair. It's not fair to yourself that you choose to live that way. It's not fair to your children that they can't talk about certain things because it brings up a certain memory. It's unfair to your husband or wife because they are suffering from the pain that someone else caused you. And what type of life is that? Is that the life that you want to create, or like what are we trying to build? Are we trying to build generational forgiveness, or are we just trying to forgive the people who we choose to forgive? I heard a quote that says, forgiveness creates confidence and the ability to create healthy relationships. And then when I heard that, I was just like, wow, that's true. Because if you're able to communicate an issue and then forgive that person for whatever has happened, or even yourself, able to communicate to yourself and then forgive yourself for those things that have happened, like, okay, now I can bring this type of forgiveness into every relationship that I have with every person that I ever come across in this world. But people will hurt you. You definitely will not be able to walk this road without being wounded. Like, this road of life is hard, and the hardest person you'll ever forgive is yourself. But like, this road is not easy, and we can't try to run from pain. And if it happens, it's okay. Every experience is definitely a learning experience. Trying to trust again after someone hurts you is also hard. So maybe that's another topic that we can touch on. But when it comes down to it, faith is what you'll need in order to create the type of world you need, the type of world of forgiveness, and the type of forgiving love that you need. So I like that it all comes full circle. And I do have a few journal assignments for you all. So I have 4 questions for you all. Question 1. Are you giving 100% to those around you? That just means, are you completely present in the moment? Do you feel like you're completely there? If not, go ahead and journal about why you're not, or go ahead and journal about why you are, why you feel like you are. Question number 2. who are you currently upset with or mad at or not talking to in your life? It might be somebody out there. Let's just think about that one. Question number 2 is a follow-up. Did you already forgive them? And then just a part 2 to that one. If not, can you forgive them someday? Okay, and then for our last question, what hurt you the most about any of those situations, those people in your life or that person in your life or yourself? Of what really hurt you the most about why you feel like you can't talk to them again or why you're so upset at them. Really just evaluate those questions and journal about it. Take a few days and take a few pages and write, each person out and the situations, and really evaluate where you are and really evaluate what the future looks like. Is it because of this situation that I'm not always present? Because I'm too worried about this. I'm always thinking about this, and really see how this is gonna create, like, if you leave this journal, like, here I just want to bring it back to why it's so important to journal and reflect, especially answering these questions. And it's just so critical to go in depth on these, because just think about your child getting this book and just read, and once they're at an appropriate age, of course, but just read, and how you were able to forgive and the situations that happened and the things that you went through. This is really creating that foundation and that generational healing that we all aspire to have for our families. So definitely just think about that. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. I hope you have a great week, and we'll meet back here next week, same time, same day. Thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to send me any topics. Bye.